You're listening to 10 Minutes With. Today we're fortunate enough to have Chris Bach from Record Company. How you doing today, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me
I mean,
in the 10 Minutes With
arena. Hell
Rompus
yeah.
room theme.
In a Shack High Sierra. Your second High Sierra. I mean, how was it today, man?
It was fantastic. A lot of great energy and great people. High Sierra is a very unique and beautiful festival. Really community feeling, very communal, and like I was saying, it's like one of those places everybody's so respectful of the environment around here. Like the environment that we're creating and the environment that was here before we got here, you won't see like one single piece of trash on the ground the whole time you're here. That just shows what kind of quality of people you're
Totally, yeah.
here,
It's a super good vibe. I mean, you guys, it has to be like a whirlwind the last couple of years, because you guys have just been fucking everywhere. I mean, late night, Stephen Colbert, everything.
Yeah.
What's that ride been like, man?
You know, it's weird because I've watched other people take ride of that nature, I guess.
Right,
you know, and
okay.
it's like you ask yourself that question, like, what's that like? The weirdest thing is it's your life. So, you know, when it's your life, you're just living and trying to do the best you can, you know?
Right.
And trying to stay in the moment, stay focused, and not get distracted by this or that, and just make sure that it's always about the music and performance and staying true to what you are and who you are and what you are as a group. So you're just kind of living it. It's only when you get those little breaks where you can take a look back,
Right.
you know, or
Step
occasionally back. Like, you know, when you're about to do something like, you know, the John Mayer tour we just did where
Right.
we're like, you know, when I walked my guitar in the door at Madison Square Garden, I never thought that would ever happen.
That's
so,
huge.
I mean, I got pretty freaked out, you know,
Right.
in a good way.
Totally.
You know, so, what's it like? It's surprising. It's exhilarating. But it's not as wild as you think because
Right.
you're so busy that you're just kind of taking it on and living. I think when I'm about to go on vacation with my wife for the first time in like a while.
Couple years or what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, like 6 or 7 years, and I think when we're out there, there'll be some time to reflect, and that's when you'll
Like, kinda
kind
sink
of come
in.
to terms with some of it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about like the fruition of the record company when, you know, how you three cats came together. I mean, in that, like the beginning of the record company.
Well, I moved from Wisconsin in 2010 to Los Angeles, and played around town for a little bit, and then ended up running into Alex, our bass player,
Right.
and we just found we had a very similar taste in music. He randomly one night, which it's funny because I know him so well now that I just know this must have been we must have really connected in just talking, because he just called me. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna be over at my house. I'm just gonna spin some records and
Right.
chill. Then I went over there, and he had just gotten this big crate of blues records from somewhere. I can't remember. And
Good vinyl.
yeah, it was vinyl, and I just went right in there and I pulled out Muddy Waters Live at Newport, you know, 1960, and I went and I
Right.
pulled out Jimmy Reed, and I pulled out, and I started putting them on, and he had never heard some of those, and then he started putting on some stuff that I had never heard,
Right.
and
like
I'm
a
like,
playlist duel.
yeah, and it was like every time one of us put something on, the other guy get more excited, and then Mark, who actually lives on the same property, but there's like a front house and a back house, and Mark lives in the front. Mark, our drummer, came back that night while we were hanging, and we ended up just jamming. Like, Mark's a piano player too, so he was playing piano and Alex playing guitar. I was just singing,
Nice.
and we just kind of became good friends. Hung out for like a year, and then we decided to form the group, you know, and just started recording and writing right away.
I mean, let's talk about the camaraderie of having to be on the road for, you know, 5 years at a time with your group of guys. I mean, how important is that? I mean, is it tough? You guys get along pretty well?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
You know,
it's like a crucial part.
you get along great. I think there's a lot of things. For one thing, it's like it's a personal relationship, it's a business relationship. Growing up on a farm actually gives you a good lesson.
In Wisconsin or what?
Yeah, I grew up on a
Midwest?
dairy farm, so it's like it's a great training ground for being in a band because
Right.
on a farm you have to work every day.
Right, bust your ass.
You have to know how to do many things. You know, a farmer's a veterinarian, a horticulturalist, a mechanic.
Everything.
You know, everything.
Businessman.
Yeah, he's a veterinarian. I think I said that twice. But so you know, in a band, you need to be in this time period we're in. You need to be able to do a lot of stuff on your own for a long time. You need to be able to promote yourself, record yourself, mix yourself. You know,
Do your own music videos.
yeah, whatever it takes. You know, and
PR.
so, but you also learn, like on a farm. I mean, I had my two brothers, my mother and father. You don't see a lot of farm families that don't get along, and you want to know why? You gotta get along. Who the
Right.
hell else are you gonna hang out
It's
with?
like-
You know,
it's
it's
your
like the next kid is
Right.
a mile up the road. You know, so it's like it teaches you to let things go, to
Right.
not get hung up on the small stuff, to not get too wrapped up in too much personal stuff with each other. I think it's important, and every band is different, but I think it's important in a band to give each other space, to like let guys live their lives. You know, you don't have to be up in each other's business all the time. That doesn't mean you're not family and great friends. You just,
Right.
It helps you do, you know, and it also helps you remember, in the end, first and foremost, you're an artist making music, but if you want to take that on the road, you are forming with other people a small business that you have to run together.
Totally.
And you have to respect each other's perspective.
It's like a farm. You guys got record companies, a farm family.
Yeah, that's right, man.
in itself.
Oh, that's
That's
what I
crazy.
like. Yeah.
That's rad. I grew up in the UP, Upper
Oh,
Peninsula,
sure.
near Wisconsin area. I mean, everybody out there.
Marquette, Michigan, many times.
Yeah, everyone's super nice out there. Let's take it back to the beginning. I mean, your first like memory of music. You know, a little bit. Take them like a little bit.
Well, it would be listening. There's a couple. My grandpa Don, who was the head of the farm when I was a kid. He just passed
Right.
a couple of years ago, but he's
R.I.P.
yeah, he's the best, man. I remember watching him play an accordion when I was a little kid,
Wow.
and he had a harmonica, which is something I play, and I remember I don't know how old I was. I couldn't have been
Young.
2, 3,
Right.
and I just remember thinking, and I don't remember what I was thinking. It's stuck in there, which means to me that it made a huge impression.
Right.
I also just remember I would beg my mom to put on her records. She had like Motown records and Beatles records, and she would just put them on, and I would just dance in the living room, you know.
Hell yeah.
And so those are like my first memories.
Nice.
My first concert was at like the Elkhorn County Fairgrounds.
Sure. Summertime
Yeah,
fair.
it was like some country band or something.
Right.
You know, it was good. So.
They're big at the time, you know, small town. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Let's talk about the blues. I mean, you guys play like a angry version of blues and rock, and I love that. I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, why are you so mad? You're
I'm not mad at
No, I
all.
know you're not.
Yeah.
But I love the tenacity in your blues and rock and roll. It's rock. You know, it's so good.
Thank you. I think it's. I don't look at it as angry. I look at it as.
Right.
No, I look at it as. Well, anybody can see it any way they want. You know,
Right.
when you play, it's no longer yours anymore. It's everybody's. That's what, and everybody has a right to have an opinion on what
Sure.
they think they're seeing, good and bad. For me, I just find it there's such an explosion of emotion when I've played my whole life, and it just kind of comes out, and it's actually a feeling of extreme elation and joy.
Right.
But I think it's just,
Great release.
yeah, it's like I watched Iggy and the Stooges play right before we formed the band, and they're the godfathers of punk rock,
Right.
and Iggy's in like one of the greatest performers of all time on stage. And you could say it looks angry, but he's having the time of his life.
Pure joy.
He's just letting it go.
Totally.
And people are erupting with energy, just on fire. But it's happiness. It's like letting go of this stuff. And I think maybe when you pass the pain of the rest of your life through a joyful experience, even though it can come off as like, it's
Right.
actually like,
polite to me. Way too polite to misbehave.
Right down, and they had Snoop Dogg on that show and a
lot
couple.
of herb smoke in the dressing room.
I didn't actually get to meet Snoop, but it was like it was pretty cool, man. You know,
Right.
and it was intimidating. You know, like that was one of those things where you're about to hit the first chord and you hear Conan say, "Ladies and gentlemen, the record company, you know,
Right.
off their new album," you know, as you've seen it happen a million times in your life.
Yeah, I was at home watching.
But you know, they tossing it over to you, and I remember the moment that started, I had that one twinge of fear where I was like, "Oh my God, everybody I know is gonna see this."
Millions of people.
And then I remember, then I heard the bass riff start, and we played the song "Off the Ground," which was the single we were pushing at the time. And once you start playing, you're playing.
Right.
You know, so it's no big deal then.
The wheels are turning.
But
yeah.
it's a thrill, man. I mean, I don't know really how to describe it. You're just trying to not think about doing things differently. You're just
Right.
trying to be like, this is a show.
Program. Right.
Let's put
And
out
did you
some
go
energy.
home and watch it like later? Or?
Yeah, the Conan. Yeah,
And
we
then
did.
what was it like?
Colbert, too, we
You know,
watched that.
seeing it later. I mean, was
Nope.
it different than
It was. The Conan one was really crazy because that was our
Yeah.
first one ever, you know.
Nice.
So that was like, I remember we went, and we live in LA, so we went back to like, you know, our little studio and had,
Right.
you know, our girlfriends and wives and friends over, and we
Everyone
watched it. And I
watched it
remember when it came on, I didn't know if we had done a good job or a bad job,
Right.
you know. So it's like I'm like, please don't let us like, I'm like, don't let me be singing like, you know,
Right.
off key and whatnot.
turned
And then
out
I
good.
heard the first part of it, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds good.
Rocked it,
So it was cool.
Nice, man. Well, I see big things in your guys' future. You guys are super chill, nice
Thanks,
cats, and you guys are representing rock and roll and blues, and that will never die.
Hell no. We'll never die. Can't die.
10 Minutes with Chris Boss Record Company, man. We wish you all the luck in the world, my friend.
Thank you for having me, and take care of people.
Thanks, man.
All right.